is going to be a great opportunity for us to get to know each other even better. I always love when you come to the Chat with Priscilla. We're going to sit down in our virtual living room and have a great conversation with a wonderful guest. You're going to want to stay tuned, okay? So grab your favorite drink, cappuccino, hot tea, coffee, you know, whatever it is you've got, and get comfortable. We're going to have a great time together. Hey, hey! Here. Listen, this is part 2 of a conversation we've already been having. So if you've not seen part 1 yet, then you need to make sure to go back and see part 1, because we are just now continuing a conversation that's already been going on with the most wonderful woman. She's a wonderful woman to me, and you're going to think so too after we continue this conversation. Would you please welcome Lisa Whelchel? So we've already been doing a whole lot of talking about some of the formative years of your life, but we need to get kind of present day. We need to know where you are right now and what's been happening right now in your life. But to get us there, recently, I think just a couple of years ago, you were on a little television program called Survivor.
Yes.
We want to know how that even happened.
Well, it happened, first of all, momentary insanity. Yes. But also because I love the show. I've watched every episode of every season. I come from a family of game players. We play board games. I had a game club in my home when my kids were little. So I love to play games. And it seemed like just the ultimate game.
Very extreme, Lisa.
Yes.
Monopoly, Survivor.
Exactly.
Quite a leap.
And that was, I think that was one of the hardest things about it, is that I wasn't playing with a little shoe and a little, you know, dog and a
play money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was playing with real people that I actually liked and became friends with. And so that was the hardest thing for me. It wasn't even, yes, the physical aspect was horrendous.
Okay, talk to us about the physical. What did you actually have to go through? We saw some of it, but it's cameras.
Oh, no,
we want to know what
there's no comparison to what really happens. You know, the first 17 days, it rained straight. So we were never dry and we were never warm. It was freezing, and we would sleep either in wet jeans or a bathing suit. And actually the bathing suit was warmer than the wet jeans, and that was even freezing. And then to get warm, you got to snuggle up with everybody, but then nobody's taking a bath. So that's, you know, like, cold.
So
or
how many days
stinky.
did you go without taking a bath?
Oh, 39 days without taking a bath, or, you know, washing my hair, or, you know, there was no bathroom facilities, and, you know, we used leaves. Yeah, so
what would make you want to do that? What made you agree? When they called you and said, first of all, tell us how they called you. Okay.
Well, I actually, you know, made an audition tape because I wanted to be. I volunteered for this. I made an audition tape because I wanted to play this game, and you know, that kind of thing. I mean, I don't like to wash my hair. And
people don't know how tough you really are. Like, this is a woman, you need to know, that decided that she wanted to, just in her walk with the Lord and growing spiritually, she decided she wanted to go on a silent, backpacking, no talking, kind of fast trip somewhere. Tell us what you did. It was some journey you did kind of by yourself for your spiritual growth.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was, and then, yeah, okay, so, and then I decided, after this little kind of fast thing, well, you know what? I'm gonna continue this fast. So I'm gonna go on a 40-day fast. So, you know, I just continued it. So that kind of thing, going without food, you know, kind of depriving myself, that really wasn't the hard part. It was the emotional part that was the hard part.
Folks don't know how tough you are. They kind of see this part and they're thinking Blair, and they don't know that actually you're pretty rough and tumble, actually. You kind of you have the ability to, for your body to be in an extreme state that might cause other people to kind of falter and faint and back out. Yeah. And you're able to really endure a lot. What do you attribute that to? Why is that?
You know what? It's not. I don't think it's necessarily a good thing. I think that I have really kind of been, you know, we are body, soul, and spirit. You know, when God wanted us to know what his love looked like, he came in the body, in the flesh. So he celebrates the body and humanity. But I think a lot of it even had to do with just kind of being raised from the time I was little in the church. I equated when he says, you know, don't give place to the flesh, that, you know, the body. And so I have really disconnected from the body as if that's a bad thing. And so I haven't been in touch with my body. So I haven't listened to it. I haven't given it a voice. I haven't felt what it's feeling and paid attention to take care of it, because I thought I was doing a good thing by kind of cutting off from it in order to be more spiritual.
Just kind of compartmentalizing your life. The spiritual part is more important. Forget the physical part.
The physical part. And I have missed out on a lot of the beauty of our humanity.
Yes, one of those things we talked about in part 1 was just connecting with other people, being open and vulnerable and sharing your life with them. Some of that was cut off from you because of your ability to kind of distance yourself and keep yourself separated.
Right, because not only because the body, because we are interconnected, that also had a lot to do with the emotions. And because if we're body and emotions and mind and will, I lived most of my life in my mind and my will. Figure out what is the right thing to do, how to do it, engage my will, and just do it. And I call that godliness. I call that, I'm walking by faith. Faith is not a feeling. I am walking, I'm obeying, and I'm not paying attention to, I'm not giving place to the flesh. And, it did keep me out of a lot of trouble. It did. Yeah. But it also kept me from the fullness of experiencing grace and experiencing connection with other people. And that's a whole big part of God. He is very relational.
Yes.
And he gave us our emotions that are a beautiful thing. And I was missing out on a lot of the beauty that was available to me because I was afraid of it. I was afraid of my heart. I was afraid of my flesh. I was afraid I was going to make a mistake and mess up. And so not really taking God at his word that grace covers all that, and it's really not about me. So even though it looked like I was doing it for God to be a really good Christian, I was actually just a really good Pharisee in a lot of ways.
Very legalistic.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go on Survivor, you do not take a bath for 39 days, you are rained on for 17 days, you're in freezing temperatures, in a bathing suit, trying to get warm with all of these other people. You're eating rice, uncooked rice.
Yes.
For how long?
We didn't have fire for the first 10 days, and so we just ate rice out of the bag because we couldn't cook it. Yeah. And it really didn't, it wasn't nourishing.
Well, I suspect not.
But it was nice to just chew on.
I personally like a little gravy on my rice, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what was the hardest part? What was the hardest part of Survivor for you, and would you ever do it again?
Okay, see, that was, of all the things that I would think twice about doing and not regret, that would Survivor, it took me a while to say, okay, I would do that again. But yes, I would do it again because it changed me.
Really? How did it change you?
Well, a lot of it had to do with what I was just talking about, in that I had so spent my life wanting to be good because I equated good with godliness. I equated good with being a good testimony, with being a good Christian. I took very seriously my platform that God had given me, and I wanted to use it to draw people to him. And so if I'm going to be like Jesus, then I need to act like Jesus. But you know what? We're not to act like Jesus. We're to be like Jesus. And I was acting like Jesus. There is a big difference. And we can only be like Jesus when we connect the humanity and the divinity. And so I realized, because on Survivor, it takes everything away from you, and you are exposed for whatever is in there.
And that left you in a very emotional state.
You were very emotional
on the show.
And it also left me very raw, and I could not help but see, as much as I had tried to disconnect from it, there was a very selfish part of me that wanted to knock you out so I could get ahead. There was a part of me that wanted to put $1 million above relationship. There was a part of me that wanted
to. That's the game. You knew
know
that
it.
going in. That's the
I
whole
did,
point,
but
right?
I couldn't
couldn't do it.
divorce myself from my life, and because I knew it was a game. I knew it was a game, but then I also knew that people
These were real people.
Well, and people in television, watching on television, I had, said, I'm a Christian. And then if I acted like, lying and betraying and backstabbing, I know it's a game, but I was afraid that was going to put a blight on, I was no longer, I was just going to be one more of those Christians that when it came down to it, I was going to, just forget that.
And the thing is, we watched you struggle with that on that show. You were sitting in a corner, balled up in a fetal position, trying to figure out what to do. Do I play the game? And do you really think that it really does boil down to that in a situation where it is a game, that is why everyone is here, that your Christianity is best seen when you choose, even in the instance where it's all a game and we all know it, not to betray or lie or play the game? Do you feel like your faith needed to be expressed where you choose, even though we're all here for the game, I'm not going to play the game because I want to make sure that no one maligns the name of Jesus because I lied or betrayed?
Yeah. For me, it was important to accept all parts of myself. That part that was very human and wasn't very Christ-like. And that to be able to say, yes, both sides are me, and it's the wholeness that is accepted by God, not just the good. It's not, because that is, that is legalism, and that is, that's works. And so for me, I think I needed to be able to just go out there and play the game and know in my head this is just a game, and just leave that up to the audience to choose what they wanted to believe and not care so much. That was the journey I needed to be on. But I don't know that it's the journey that everybody, in that situation would need to be on. But for me, I remember when God was really I realized he was trying to teach me about grace. And this was about 8 years ago. And I remember saying to him, I really do want to learn about grace. I just don't want to need grace. Because if I need grace, that means I've messed up. And I still equated messing up with separation from God, with just not pleasing him. And I needed to mess up. And I think it's one of the reasons why I got into a situation where there was permission to do all these things that all of us have inside of us.
And in the end, what did you choose? Have you ever felt overwhelmed? Or like your life was so stress-filled and stressful that you couldn't even enjoy your life anymore? What if I told you there was a little secret? There is something that the Jewish people have been doing for years and centuries. There's a discipline that is a regular part of their lives that has caused many of them to be able to steer clear of the stress-filled existence that many of us are accustomed to.
We will always be drawn to overdo things, and God knows this. This is why he puts boundaries in place.
It's going to be a journey through the scriptures that is going to help us to enjoy life the way God always intended.
In the end, at the very end, like in the last few days, I chose to play the game and to play it hard and to just say, really, and then it was a whole nother lesson once it aired and got a lot of bad feedback, because the Christians were saying you are not being a good witness. And then the people that aren't Christians are saying, well, you need to get your big girl panties on and play the game or get off the island. So there was no pleasing. And then just to realize, you know what? You are so right. Both of you are right.
And isn't that a lesson in and of itself? That no matter what you do, whether you don't have to be on Survivor for that to be a lesson, right? No matter what you do, there's going to be somebody over here that thinks you should have done it differently, somebody over here that should have done it differently. And so ultimately, it is, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do in this particular scenario? And I do it to honor you at the exclusion of what everybody else is going to think.
Yes, and then also I think it's not just either or. It's like I could say to both camps, yeah, that is so true. Oh, yeah, you're right too. It's okay. And of God, I'm going to try to do my best, but if I mess up, that's okay too. The grace covers that. So not working so hard to please others or even to please God. I don't have to work hard to please God. I am pleasing to God. And in that
good.
resting place, I'm actually going to probably please him more because I'm actually taking his gift seriously.
Yeah.
Not just kind of half, okay, you do that part, but just fill up what I can't do.
Right. Okay. When you got home, when you were booted off the show, were you sad that you were booted off? Because you were in the top 3. She made it down to the last 3. Were you sad that you were booted off, or were you grateful to the Lord that you were going home to your soft bed?
Well, except when you make it to the final 3, you
still have
all
to-
goes 39 days. It doesn't matter. So there's no more days than that. The final 3, 39 days. So would I have liked to have gone 39 days with $1 million? Yeah. Yeah, I was sad I didn't win.
Yes, okay. But when you got home, what did you do? What was the first thing you did when you got back to your life?
My daughter met
I heard
me.
somebody in the audience say, did she take a bath?
I did that the night I was, the final tribal council. When I got home, my kids met me at the airport, and I had a large Route 44 Sonic cherry lemonade.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
And I'm very intrigued by the fact that you say you would do that again. If the people from Survivor are watching.
No. I would do that again.
You
I
wouldn't
would
do-
have that experience again. I
But
would
you
not
wouldn't
do it again.
Oh,
I
you
wouldn't
do it a second
no,
time.
there is
Well,
a whole nother thing.
Thank you. I misunderstood you, and I'm
No.
so glad I did,
No,
girl.
no. I would do it over again, but I
That
would not
experience
that
over
experience.
again.
But I would not do the show again. No.
So never mind.
Yeah.
Scratch that. Do not call Lisa Whelchel. She does not want to do that again.
That's
My
right.
friend likes to eat too much for that.
That's true.
Okay, what does your life look like now? You are how old?
I'm 51.
You're a good-looking 51.
Thank you.
You're a
Thank-
good-looking
thank you.
51. So we need to know what you're doing now, how your life looks different. What have you been surprised by in this season of your life that you when you looked forward to 50, 51, 50 years old, you didn't know your life would look like this or entail this?
I did not expect to be divorced.
Okay.
I did not expect to be needing to figure out how am I going to provide secure future for myself. How am I going to have retirement? How am I going to be able to? I would really like to be a full-time grandmother when grandkids come along. But am I going to, am I going to be working until the very end? I mean, there was all those things. There's no way I would. Would I be living in an apartment? Sharing a room with one of my kids, all that. Would I be wondering, what am I going to do with my life and starting over in every area? Certainly did not picture that for myself at this time.
The divorce, hard on your family, your kids are grown now. So how did that affect them, and how are you guys doing through all of that, your family?
Divorce is going to be hard
Yeah.
on the whole family. As far as, on a continuum, I think it's about as good as it can get. My kids were grown. The whole family's very close. I mean, my ex-husband still travels with me and is my road manager, and we speak, when I'm speaking at churches, he's the one that's fronting the gig and setting up the book table and selling stuff and traveling with me. So,
You're still
that's
very good
not
friends.
the scenario of most, divorce situations. And, when we spend all the holidays together, he comes to California, we go out to dinner and a movie, so that is not the typical scenario. And so therefore,
Yeah.
it is filled with much, much more grace than I think it doesn't, well, I think you need grace no matter what.
Yes,
But
it
it's
could be
easy.
a lot more difficult
Yes.
than it's ended up being. And you've recently moved from Texas. You were back in California, the
Right.
land where you were for so
because
many
I
years.
had to figure out, what do I want to be when I grow up?
Yeah.
Because my kids, I got a divorce about the same time. My last one was going off to college, and it's like, oh, wow, I need to actually make a living and plan something. And what can I do? Well,
And you
I
went
was
out
an
to-
actress about 25 years ago. Let me
So
try
you
that
thought
again.
you were going to try that again?
Yeah,
And
because I love it.
You do love it. So when you pulled away from it, did it feel like something was missing to not be acting?
Oh,
or during
no.
that season, did God give you the grace to walk away from it and go, I don't even want to act
I didn't
anymore?
expect that I would ever go back to acting. I really didn't. I left. It was great. It wasn't like I was rejecting it, but I loved being. I would love to just I would love to just, write books and speak and be a grandmother. I enjoy acting, but I'm pursuing it because I would love to be able to make money at something I enjoy doing. And the jury's out on that. That's going to happen. You can't just decide, I want to be an actress and go do it. There's, many more talented actresses out there that aren't working, and they're all in my acting class, and it's just, that's a whole nother level of insecure.
So you are in an acting class.
Yes.
I think people would find that very interesting because you've spent such a large chunk of your life acting.
And I'm the worst one in my acting class.
No, I'm sure you're not.
Okay, no, I am, and I tell you why.
Did the teacher tell you that you're the worst one?
Well, he gives me many more notes than the other ones. So, and a lot of it has to do, again, back to that disconnect thing. I love comedy because comedy, you can kind of stay above things, laugh a lot, which is kind of what I do in life. But drama, you have to be in touch with your emotions, and you've got to give them place, and you've got to feel them and let them express through the text. And that's what my acting class is about. And I have spent so long disconnecting from emotions because they're scary and I'm afraid of them, and they'll be overwhelming, or I might do something wrong or unchristian-like or embarrass myself. And so again, in the context of an acting class, there's permission to blow up and be angry, which I would not give myself permission to do in life. Or, a permission to be kind of sexy, in a scene. And, it's okay, it's in a scene, but I wouldn't do it in real life. But hey, you know what? I'd like to be able to feel sexy. That is kind of part of...
Speaking of sexy.
Yes. Okay.
You're looking mighty sexy. We need to talk about 51 and sexy.
Okay.
How are you keeping your body in such great shape? Our bodies change so much. I'm getting ready to turn 40. We were talking about this earlier. And I have just noticed stuff all of a sudden. The same exercises, the same foods, the same regimen. It just is not maintaining the same way. And it's not just weight, hair, everything. It's just your hormones seem to change everything around, and you've got to readjust. What have you found to be readjustments you've had to make in this new decade of your life? What are you doing? Because you look great. You look healthy. You look well. What have you found is working for you?
I'm really not a good person to ask because I really am up and down, and I don't have a real good discipline routine. I try to eat healthy, but I also eat anything I want, just small portions. Or
see, but that's a decision you've made that's actually huge for a lot of people, because I think some folks think that a diet means you have to be so restrictive that you're not eating the things you love.
Yeah, no,
but
that
really,
doesn't work for me.
No, that don't work for me either. I need some fried chicken.
Oh,
I just do. Yeah, and you can eat it, but you eat it in moderation.
Yeah,
so that's a good.
But
helpful
it's still,
hint.
I don't feel like I'm the person to ask, because that's not, as much as I've struggled with my weight, I've never been able to make an addiction out of it. I know that sounds like, but there's parts of me when I wanted to lose weight, I was like, okay, yeah, I'd like to have an exercise addiction, or I'd like to be able to, because that's just never been.
But
I mean,
Lisa,
my God, my
you're
other
not
issues.
giving yourself enough credit. You're balanced. That's what you're saying, is you
That's
haven't
right.
made an addiction out of exercise or out of not eating this, not eating that. You have just decided, I'm going to enjoy food, I'm going to enjoy exercise, but you've also done it in a way where you can stay balanced and healthy.
And every once in a while, I'll hop on the treadmill, and try to do that at least 3 times a month.
So we will not take your advice with exercise.
No.
So has your body changed much from 40s to 50s? Have you seen anything different, really, or are you still feeling kind of the same? Or
it's changed. Yes, it's always changed. But see, I have been so body focused since I was 12. So I haven't. I have gone through so many different. My body has changed so many times that I don't know what looks normal. I don't know what is normal. I'm always like 10 pounds up or down. So.
Well, are you up right now or down?
I'm about 7 pounds up.
Well, it is all in the right places.
So we can go have some fried chicken, because I got another 3 to go here.
We might as well take care of that,
exactly.
Right? Okay, what would you go back and tell your 20-year-old self? If you could look back and say, girl, let me tell you this. You don't need to worry about this, or you do need to be more concerned about this. Any lesson you tell her?
Just sock your money away and don't invest it. because investment's not always a good thing.
Yeah.
I would say really celebrate. This is kind of a bold statement. Celebrate the dark as much as the light, because that's what's integrity, is wholeness, and you can't have the light without experiencing the darkness, and there are treasures in the darkness.
Do you mean the ups and the downs by light and dark? What do you mean by dark?
I would say, in general, the
Okay.
light and the dark. Probably not the way we often interpret it for like evil or
Right,
good,
right.
as much as the shadows and the hard things and what we would call even negative emotions. You know, there is a place for, anger. There's a place for fear even. I know he said, do not be afraid, but at the same time, we don't know what it means to really trust God. For me, I didn't feel a lot of those things. So, it was great. I can say, I trust God. But when
But you don't know you do until you're in a position where you feel what it's like to trust him.
Yeah, exactly.
I get
And
that.
so I would just say, just celebrate the wholeness of life, because you don't have to be so afraid of, don't have to be so afraid that acceptance and grace is not going to cover everything. And there's so much to learn in humanity and not just the divine nature.
So it sounds to me like you would tell your younger self to go on the adventure, experience all of it. Don't push some of it to the side because you think it's bad or wrong, or you're not going to gain acceptance from God or whoever because of this. Just go ahead and group all of that together. Don't compartmentalize, and just enjoy fully everything. Mountains, valleys, light, dark.
Yes, and
Enjoy
be,
it.
The original, be naked and unashamed. And naked means you're not covering up the lumpy, bumpy stuff, because you don't have to, because the gaze and the delight of God doesn't change by your performance or how you look, because he sees, he sees his little girl, and his little girl is utterly delightful to him.
I'm so glad that your 50-year-old self has discovered that.
Yeah.
Because you are a beautiful, wonderful woman, and it's so neat to see how your whole life has come together in a way that you've got just this bright smile on your face and this radiance about you, and it's good to see you like this.
Thank
It's
you.
great to see. I'm glad that your life is so full and wonderful. Your kids are healthy. You're healthy. It's a good season in your life.
It
isn't
is. It is
It's a
a
great
good
season.
season.
Would you please thank her for being on our program?